Good afternoon everyone, my name is Liam Neild and this is the MU Review, the place where I talk all things Manchester United in the world of football, and today I'm here to talk about a really disappointing and drab match between Manchester United and Liverpool. It ended 0-0, the first time it has ended 0-0 to my knowledge since the last time we wore blue at Anfield back in 2005. I was about 10 and I remember that match being even more boring than this one, so at least it wasn't the worst Man United-Liverpool game I've seen, but compared to the hype, it was dog shit. It was boring from start to finish, but in that sense, you know, that's sort of what I wanted. I was going into the game, like many United fans, a bit concerned about Liverpool's threat, attacking-wise, their form, and just generally the way that they could get at us and the way that they could make us sort of push us around the pitch and make us play, but we didn't let them do that. We really stifled them, especially in the first half. We had a very good performance in the first half, but the game never really got going. I think a lot of the players were sort of a bit nervous. No one was really playing to their full potential, and ultimately the defences won out, and it's a point for either side. I don't think that's a bad result for either team, but I definitely think it's a better result for us than it is for Liverpool. I think Liverpool probably would have come into this game thinking they were going to win, or at least really fancying themselves to get the 3 points and go level on points with Manchester City at the top. Likewise, United would have been hoping to grab the victory, but given the game that I just watched, I'm not going to complain about the fact that we have not won that game, because I don't think we deserved it, and ultimately I don't think anyone deserved it. I think 0-0 is an appropriate score for an appropriately boring match. Talking about the beginning of the match, it was a very controversial lineup picked by Jose Mourinho. Ashley Young starting, Marouane Fellaini starting, with the likes of Mkhitaryan, Lingard, Michael Carrick, to name a few, Morgan Schneiderlin, all left out. Wayne Rooney, of course, on the bench. And then to see Ashley Young in the team was a real surprise. Obviously, he's sort of going for the pace on the counter, I suppose, but it really was a game where Mourinho set up and really just didn't listen to the critics, and that's one of his strongest attributes, is he doesn't let the media pressure affect him, because going into this game, United were going to get stuffed 4-0, that's what all the media was saying. Liverpool were in the ascendancy, United looked lost, and I never really bought into that. I was definitely afraid that it could happen, a bit like it did at Arsenal last season when we were in good form, and that sort of stopped us in our tracks last year after a relatively good start to our season. Whereas this time we've had a bit of an indifferent start, and I look at this as a bit of a point earned rather than 2 points dropped, whereas I think it'll be a bit different for Liverpool and their fans. Going through the game, I think that performance-wise, our defence and our goalkeepers were masterful. I think David De Gea put in a man-of-the-match performance, just to spoil the end of the video for you, but also running him close were Antonio Valencia and Eric Bailly were superb. Blind and Smalling have made a couple of mistakes, but otherwise we were completely solid. Really good defensive display, but we just didn't really click going forward. Pogba was absolutely rubbish, and like, don't get me wrong, I've defended Paul Pogba because he has been much better than people have been giving him credit for. Alright, he's a £90 million player, and people seem to forget he's a central midfielder. They seem to think he's going to score goals and assist goals every game. He's not going to do that. That's not what kind of player he is. He's the kind of player who will pop up with the occasional goal and assist, but he's really there to boss the middle of the park, and he didn't do it today. He was played behind Zlatan Ibrahimovic, which is the furthest forward I've seen him play for United, and he was absolutely anonymous. He didn't really get on the ball, his touch was poor, his balance was off, and it looked like the occasion got to him, so I'm hoping that he settles in, kind of shakes it off and continues to, you know, develop as he goes on. He's still a young player, so we don't want to get in his back. This is the first game that I really think he played poorly. He played really well against Southampton and against Stoke. He had a bit of a hot and cold game against Watford. This is the first game where I'm looking at it saying, Pogba, where were you even on the pitch? And that's disappointing. You know, in a big game like this, you need your big players to step up. And speaking of big players, where was Zlatan? I mean, he was trying his best. We were trying to lump the ball to him, but he couldn't really get the ball down. Matip had him in his pocket all night, and I was just disappointed with the attacking display all around. Marcus Rashford, full of energy, full of running, not going to criticise him at all. It just didn't really come off for him. They definitely were prepared for him. James Milner definitely got skinned a couple of times, but also knew what to expect from Rashford. They put a couple of men on him, and it's difficult for any player, let alone an 18-year-old who's just broken into the first team 6 months ago, to come into that environment and do well. So I think he did well with what he could, and ultimately I don't have any complaints about the players that, you know, played in the game. Marouane Fellaini was superb. Oh, superb might be a bit of an overstatement. I thought he was superb in the first half. Second half, much like Manchester United as a team, we really faded badly in the second half, and Liverpool definitely could have won that match the way they played in the second half if it wasn't for the superb saves of David De Gea and some incredible defending from Eric Bailly and especially Antonio Valencia, who right at the end of the game when Roberto Firmino was through on goal, delivered one of the most world-class slide tackles I've ever seen, and anybody who tells me that Antonio Valencia cannot play right back after that needs to watch the tape of that slide tackle. It's absolutely a thing of beauty. Roberto Carlos, Cafu would have been proud of that slide tackle, so good on you, Antonio Valencia. The only reason you're not my man of the match is because of that man, David De Gea. Dave saves, Dave saves, Dave saves. If it's not for him, we've lost 2-0 here to goals from Coutinho and Firmino, and I'm extremely glad that we've still got him after the whole saga with Real Madrid a couple of summers ago. The fact that he's still a United player is almost as mind-boggling as the fact that Pogba is here, Ibrahimovic is here, and Mourinho's our manager, if you think about it from the perspective of a couple of summers ago. Overall, sort of looking at the big picture, I do think, like I said earlier, it's a better result than it sounds on paper. Yes, this was a more important game for us than it was for Liverpool, in my opinion, but the fact that we weren't at home took the pressure off us in a certain way. Obviously, we still had the pressure to perform and not get beaten, but we didn't necessarily have the pressure to win the match. And I do think that a 0-0 away at Anfield is exactly what Mourinho would have been looking for. Obviously, he wanted to win the match, but I think he went into the game saying, right, we're not losing here. If we can win, great, but we're not losing. And we didn't lose. So ultimately, we're still in touch with everybody at the top. City dropped points this weekend as well. We're still, I think, 6 points off top. No need to panic. I've heard a lot of people saying that we're out of the title race. Bollocks. 30 games to go, no one's out of the title race. Watford are in the title race for all I care. It's ridiculous to write anybody off or on for the title at this stage of the season, because every team is going to go through good patches and bad patches, and we are no exception. And neither are City or Liverpool. They're going to crash at some point as well. So when you really think about the way we played, defensively we look to have really solved some of the problems that we seem to have. We're very big and quick physically in defence. That's a very good attribute. I want Luke Shaw back in the team because I think him and Valencia really complement each other well on both sides, and Bailly, Smalling are forming a very strong partnership with De Gea behind them, so I'm very happy with all of that. But we really lacked a cutting edge in the attack, and I was really disappointed with that. I mean, I was disappointed we didn't get to see Juan Mata. I know Wayne Rooney came on for Rashford, but I'd have rather seen Mata come on. I know that at that point in the game there wasn't much he could have done, but I don't know why he didn't start. This is Juanfield. He didn't even get on the pitch. And that stuff annoys me. Mkhitaryan still hasn't really made a comeback since that awful Manchester derby performance. Lingard came back into the team and played well. Didn't get his chance today. So yeah, I mean, I'm a bit indifferent, I'm glad that we didn't lose the game because I was definitely afraid that was going to happen, but I'm also disappointed that we didn't, really, it didn't look like we really had a go, we didn't really get going in the final third, and I do think we could have exposed Liverpool a lot more than we did. We didn't really have any proper chances either. I thought that we had 2 half chances. Rashford in the first half put in a devil of a cross, and if it wasn't for Loris Karius, Ibrahimovic makes it 1-0 there. And speaking of Ibrahimovic, he climbed for a header off a great Marcus Rashford cross and just headed it straight back across goal instead of into the far corner. But that's it. If those are the only chances we're creating, we need to do something else. I mean, we need to create more. We've got an embarrassment of riches going forward. I talked about Mata, Mkhitaryan, Lingard not even getting on the pitch. The people who were on the pitch didn't do enough, for me. Martial was injured. I think we could have used him in his pace and his trickery and his dribbling. But Rashford was just sort of running around. He wasn't really making too much of an impact on the game. Ibrahimovic was trying and failing to hold the ball up. Pogba couldn't get anything going. I was really hoping Pogba would boss the midfield today. He's still learning, but just all in all, it leaves me not with a bad taste in my mouth, but sort of with a slightly bitter one. But onwards and upwards, Chelsea next week. Obviously, we've got Fenerbahce in the Europa League on Thursday. I hope and expect Mourinho to rest several players for that game. Obviously, the Europa League, we are not anywhere near qualified. We've not played well in that competition, but I don't think we need to. When we've got Chelsea on Sunday, in the way the league is at the moment, we've got to prioritise that. So I want to see rotation. I want to see Lingard, maybe Mkhitaryan, players who didn't play today, I want to see on Thursday. And then, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily play the same team against Chelsea because obviously it's going to be a different game and a completely different style to cope with. So I think we will see the likes of Martial return if he returns from his injury. We will probably see Young drop out, and I'll probably see Fellaini stay in the team against a big bad Chelsea man like Diego Costa and David Luiz. We need characters like Fellaini in the team for that, and I don't think he's played badly at all this season. So yeah, all in all, not happy, not sad, just sort of there. I'm glad that United's football is back. It was a long international break and I can't wait for next week. Come on, you Red Devils. If you like the video, like, comment if you want to say anything, share if you want to, spread the love and see if you can find my way onto other people's computer screens, and subscribe if you haven't already. I've been Liam Neal, this is the CMU Review. We'll see you next week. Thank you very much.